We are live. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the 10 Rules of Being Claimed. For those of you who have been waiting for me like 40 minutes ago when I was supposed to come live, I apologize. I was actually on a really cool call with a potential sales team member of my team, so I couldn't let her go because I was so excited. But anyways, I'm here. I apologize that I'm late. I'm here, so everyone, welcome. If you haven't missed anything, I'm just starting. So let me just hit the record button on my podcast thing, and then we'll get started. All right, hi everyone, and welcome to, episode 3 of the 10 Rules of Being Claimed. I'm recording this on Instagram Live, and this is going to be available on IGTV on my account, Anna Rova, and also on the podcast if you are curious and you want to listen to it again. So today we talk about the third rule of 10 Rules of Being Claimed, which is called the Rule of Thirds. So just a reminder that the previous 2 rules of the 10 Rules of Being Claimed, and by the way, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Rova. I help successful single women attract committed masculine men. And so I run a very powerful coaching program, group coaching program called Claimed, where I help women do exactly that. So in the previous 2 episodes, I've talked about the first 2 rules of being claimed. Number 1 is you create your dating funnel and then compete. So if you haven't listened to that or watched that, you can scroll back in my IGTV and you'll see it. Or if you're listening to the podcast, these episodes are also available before this one. So in that first rule, I basically explained to you the whole dating funnel with intention, how there are 3 stages of dating, and how to basically create your own dating funnel where you are the one to choose and men compete for you. So that was really exciting. Please listen to that because that's literally like a foundation for all of it. Then in rule number 2, we talked about the fact that you get the best piece, and why is it important to establish this, routine and a practice in your life where you as a feminine essence woman really focus on yourself first. And I also mentioned my article on Medium that's called The Guide to Being a Good Enough Woman. Like, you're good enough and you're worthy, so focus on yourself first before everybody else. And today we talk about one of my favorite rules actually, and I get a lot of questions about this. And this is, I didn't come up with this, so for a lot of women it's actually new, but in the dating world and relationships, especially dating obviously, because this is that stage of dating, the second stage of the dating funnel. This is either, it might be called rotational dating or dating, different men at a time, but I call it the rule of thirds, which is quite a common concept when you talk to relationship, like when you're in relationship and dating programs, but a lot of women don't know about this because men know about this really well, but women don't. I'm just taking off my earrings because I have feedback that when I have earrings, then podcast listeners hear them on the audio. So I apologize for that. So let's talk about how the rule of thirds works and why do we need it. So basically the rule of thirds means that at any point in time when you are dating, which means like you're seeing different men and you're not in a relationship exclusively with one man, the rule is that you need to see at least 3 men at a time. And like last week in my group coaching program, we discussed this in detail because women are like, all of these fears are coming up. And if you're listening to this or watching this, you probably also might experience some sort of like, what do you mean 3 men at a time? Like what? So let's talk about all of that. If you have any questions, let me know. But basically, this is exactly what this means. And women have so many fears around this and kind of like, they open their eyes and they become very emotional because it's not natural to us. And let's talk about why. It's not natural to us as women, especially if we start becoming intimate with a man, meaning like if we start having sex with a man. It's not natural because the moment we start being physical with a man, our whole nervous system, and this is actually evolutionary psychology, the moment we start getting intimate with a man, our whole system thinks that, this is a potential father of my children, because obviously the possibility of pregnancy is quite high. I mean, even if you're using protection. So your body and within your whole system, you are programmed and designed to pretty much attach because you know that this man could be the father of your children. And so women are very quick to attach to men. Women are very quick to listen and believe men and think that, oh my God, if he has taken me on like 5 dates and told me all of these amazing things and we are intimate, a woman thinks that you are in a relationship. And correct me if I'm wrong, I've been there, and I know most women are there. They think that this is exclusive and you are in a relationship. And most of the time, actually, women just date one man. Like you see someone you like, you continue, everything goes great, and you think in your head that you're in a relationship, and then one day, it might come a day where that man, you realize that his profile is actually still on Bumble or whatever dating app, that he's actually seeing other women or asking other women out. I actually had a case in my program last week. We jump on weekly Q&A calls with women where I coach them and answer their questions. And this woman, an amazing woman, she was saying that she started seeing significant shifts in terms of what kind of men she's attracting as a result of our work together. So she's attracting masculine, committed men that are pursuing her, bringing her flowers. I actually shared her post on my Instagram as well. Her name is Jen, and everything was great. And then, after how long, 3 weeks of like seeing each other, becoming intimate, everything was great. And then she finds out that a friend of hers was asked out by this man. And she just sits there and like her eyes are big and she is like, what the hell happened? And I understand that like the pain of this is very real. It feels like betrayal. It feels like a lot of question marks and a lot of confusion in your head as a woman, being like, well, hold on a second, like what's going on here? And you start questioning yourself. So, this is a big issue. And so to avoid the issue, to avoid this particular problem, and if you do it right, you're going to avoid a lot of heartache for yourself. And if you understand how the dating game works, because it is a game and we're all playing the game. And in episode 1, I actually talked about, as a woman, please do not deprive men of their dating game. Please do not deprive them of pursuing you, of courting you, of competing with other men for you. And this is why the rule of thirds is so important. Because when you practice the rule of thirds in your dating, which means seeing 3 different men at the same time, at least, what this creates is 2 main things. Number 1 is that you make sure that you don't attach to the next guy who gives you a lot of compliments, who sends you flowers, who you spend a lot of time with, and so on and so forth. Because when you attach, this is where you get really emotional and create a lot of expectations in your mind and in your head. And so when you're seeing different men, and let's talk about logistics of this. When I'm saying when you're seeing different men, it literally means you're seeing them. You don't need to sleep with them. You don't need to take it further anywhere. You remember, you decide and you choose how you want to do this. Some women choose to sleep with the men that they're dating. Some women choose to not sleep. But if you choose to sleep with them and you engage with them sexually, very much be aware that when you engage with a man sexually, it creates emotion and it creates attachment by default. I already mentioned that's evolutionary psychology. It's the other way around for men. Because men, the more women they date, the best. The better for them. The more sex and variety they have with different women, the better for them. Because evolutionary speaking, for them, they need to impregnate as many women as possible. And this sounds very much primitive and instinctive and like, hello, we live in the 21st century, but this is the reality of things that has been programmed within us for millions and millions of years. Now, why women react differently to this, I'll tell you why. Because men's parental investment should be like written on any relationship program, and I talk about parental investment and the difference between men and women on a biological level, on any other level, is parental investment in the end of the ends. Because, even 100 years ago, I don't know how many years ago, but evolutionary speaking, the last, 200 years where all the progress happened and everything before that, there were millions of years how humans have evolved. And so in the cave times and in the hunter-gatherer societies, the average time that a woman would, have the pregnancy, birth, nurse her child was about 4 years. And so That is a significant amount of time that a woman spends with an offspring to make sure that it survives. How she makes sure, I mean, we're all driven by evolution, right? We're all instinctually, like, you might not realize it in your head, but your body and your mind and all your behavior is dictated by evolution pretty much. Of course, this is in modern times structures, but it still works in the same way. And so when a woman does this, it's very different because, again, when we have sex with a man, the chances of pregnancy are growing much higher. And so when the chances of pregnancy are much higher, that means that, oh my God, I'm going to spend on average about 4 years if I have a child to make sure that we procreate and we survive. My offspring basically survives. For men, it's completely the opposite. There is zero parental investment in men, evolutionary speaking, meaning that he can impregnate a woman and move forward. And this happens in animal kingdom as well. He actually biologically doesn't have any responsibility to care for this child. Now, I'm talking about biologically, evolutionary speaking. Of course, he has, we live actually in a great time where there is laws and there is responsibilities, and we live, in a partnership, in a household, and we're very lucky as women today to actually have men and have certain structures and how our society is built, that it protects a woman from a man deserting her and impregnating her, right? So, today we don't deal with that much. I mean, there's still men who just impregnate and desert, but that's very, very rare. Most men are actually, they care about their children, so on and so forth. But biologically, evolutionary speaking, they're not programmed to do so. They're programmed to procreate, and how a man procreates is by impregnating, is having sex. All they think about is picking up girls and women and so on and so forth. Now, of course, as they go forward and they progress with their journey, and their modern man and their head is like, hello, not everything is below my torso. Hello? Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Poor connection. All right, so let's continue. Okay. So that's why the rule of thirds is very, very important for you to understand. So let's talk about logistics, right? So listen to episode 1 and rule 1, create your funnel with intention, create your dating funnel, men compete. Because then you're going to understand how to do this properly, and then exposing yourself in the first stage. And in the second stage, when you're dating, make sure that you're dating or seeing 3 men at a time. One very important thing, I've heard a woman say in my program, but I feel guilty for dating 3 men at a time. And I'm like, what? Why are you feeling guilty? No more feeling guilty for seeing different men at a time. Understand that when you're dating, you are shopping. Imagine you go into the market and you're looking for best tomatoes on the market, tomatoes in American English. You're looking for the best tomatoes in the market. That's exactly what you're doing when you're dating. That's exactly what men are doing when they're dating. And a lot of women scold men for seeing different women. And I understand it's easy for me to say because I'm married and I don't have to deal with this. But I remember moments where I actually had 3 days in a row seeing 3 different men. I'm not going to go into the details whether we were intimate or not. Maybe we were. But when you have that choice, when you give men the opportunity to step up and you see many men and you shop around for the best tomatoes, number one, you're having a lot of great time and you're having fun. Because you're not attached and you're not in that mindset of where is this going? Is he going to be my next husband? When men sense that within you, so I also get a lot of women in my discovery calls saying, you know what? on my first date, I just want to know where this is going. Like, I ask him the question, where is this going? What are you looking for? Because I'm looking for a husband. Like, if you do that, it's time to stop doing that. That's why probably men run away from you. Simply because when you're on a first date, like, dating is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be there having fun and letting the men come to you and court you and, pursue you. And when you are a woman in your feminine energy, feminine essence, when you dealt with your limiting beliefs and so on and so forth, which I help women do in my program, I get them to a place of dating with intention, dating with a lot of fun. And imagine a woman who's coming to a date, sits down at a table and be like, hi, how are you? And you're just laying back and you're smiling and your energy is like amazing. This man would be looking at you and wouldn't stop looking at you. Because women like this are unfortunately quite rare today. So to get there, obviously, you need to work on your femininity and so on and so forth. So we go from, how do we go from here, right? Like, we show up on dates knowing that we shop around and they shop around. And that's your job, and that's why you need to date 3 men at a time. Being available and open. So let's say you go somewhere and a guy gets your number or approaches you. You're like, okay, great. You don't stop there. You're not like, oh my God, he's so amazing. And you start obsessing about this man. I'll answer your question in a second. Like, you don't stop. You continue having an amazing life, being busy, like just focusing on yourself. And then you go to other dates and you go to other events and other men are approaching you. And so that's why the funnel is so important. So, watch episode 1 where I explain this really well, and watch all the 10 episodes and listen to them, because this is going to really provide you with a mindset, perhaps with a paradigm shift that I share with the women in the program that I work with. Because if you know this is a total game changer for you as a woman, especially today, especially in a world today where women complain all the time about men, there's no good men around, and so on and so forth. So give the men the opportunity, like that exciting non-attachment thing is super exciting to men. When they feel that and when they know that there's competition, that's it, you got them. But you don't do that from like manipulation techniques. You really do that because you love your life, because you actually enjoy dating and being with men, like without expecting that are you my next husband or are you not? Let's figure that out, Oh my God, there's some women that somebody told me, I was actually interviewed by Jenna Ward on her podcast of School of Embodied Arts. She said, Anna, what do you think about this idea going around that you need to ask a man if he's dealt with his childhood trauma on the first date? And I'm like, excuse me? Can you repeat that again? Like, is this real? Like, are women really doing this? This is crazy. I mean, if you choose to do that, like, obviously, this is your choice. But, like, you don't even know this person and you're sitting down, he's there to see, like, what's happening. We're playing a game here. We're flirting. He's doing his, like, mating dance. Imagine a peacock. That's what he's doing. He's peacocking. And you're sitting there and you're like, have you dealt with your childhood trauma? Are you looking for a wife? Like, what the hell? It's crazy. So anyways, that's why it's really, really important. So logistically, make sure that when you date and when you expose yourself to many men at many different points in time, and you focus on your femininity and your life is amazing, then you move forward. You continue your funnel and you don't stop your funnel until you get claimed. That's actually rule number 6 or 7 that I'm going to talk about. So you continue going. He's calling you. You're going on a date with him. Okay, great. You continue going to events. You continue exposing yourself, and you continue being in that mindset of men asking you out, right? Whether you sleep with them or not, that's your choice. No man can tell you why you're sleeping with other men if he hasn't claimed you. If he asks you this question, then you're like, oh, are we exclusive? I didn't think we were exclusive. There was no conversation about that. And we're going to talk about that in rule 6 or 7, why it's important that he brings up that conversation and he claims you. So I hope this makes sense for you, why the rule of thirds is important. And make sure that you get out of the mindset of feeling guilty. When you're seeing different men, think about shopping for tomatoes or shoes. Okay, tomatoes is the terrible example. Who even goes to the market anymore to freaking shop for tomatoes? You go to your supermarket, they're tomatoes, bad example, Anna. So you're buying shoes, right? Like you're shopping around. So shop around, and you're shopping around and dancing with 3 pairs of shoes at the same time. My recommendation would be probably not to sleep with them, simply because it's going to create that bond. But if you're a woman who can hold herself in that mindset and not get attached, do it. I wouldn't be able to do it because I know myself. The minute we get intimate with a man, that's it, I'm hooked. But it's up to you. So treat it as a normal process. And yeah, so I talked about logistics. You know, let's say you have 3 men, Brian, John, and Jason. Let Brian, John, and Jason pursue you. And you don't need to let them know that. Like, and don't parade seeing other men. Some women are like, I'm still on Tinder. Like, hello, excuse me, 1 second, I'm just going to reply. Like, don't do that. You know, you don't need to showcase that you're dating other men. You literally, this has to come from a place of genuine, sincere curiosity and shopping for shoes. You know, because that's what men are doing. And for men, this is so natural. It has to come natural to us because we're all playing a game and we're supposed to have fun in this romance game. So an action step for you before I answer some questions here is, what can you do this week to start exposing yourself to more suitors and having 3 men to see, talk, and date? Remember, you're shopping for shoes. There's no attachment to a pair. You just continue going. So what can you do this week to start exposing yourself? And tag me in your stories. I'm very curious about what comes out of that. And, you know, just keep going. Remember, rule of thirds. And you stop this when a man brings up a conversation about exclusivity, and then you decide whether to say yes or no to that man. But we're going to talk about this in rule 6 or 7. I hope this makes sense. So let me see. There were 2 questions. What happens when you talk a lot? Do you lie when they ask what you're doing while you're actually on a date with another man? Okay. Well, no, you don't lie. There's no lying in the way that I'm teaching this. There's no manipulation. There's no trips. There are trips, but there's no manipulation or lying. Like, if they ask you what you're doing while you're actually on a date with another man, first of all, why are you even seeing this question when you're on a date with another man? Like, if you're on a date with another man, you should be on a date with another man. And if you get a message like this, if you're on a date with another man, you don't reply to that question right now. Like, it's simple. I mean, it's simple to me. Well, of course, it's a little bit more complicated to you. But if you're on a date, be on a date. And if somebody asks me, like, what were you doing today? I mean, you know, I was busy. I had my life. If you're dating a man, you're not in a relationship. So you don't need to explain anything to anyone. You know, what are you doing? I'm busy having my own life. I had a couple of meetings today. I went for coffee. If a man starts like scolding you about what have you done, he's sensing competition actually. So, you know, if he asks you this question, he senses competition. So if it comes to a talk or a conversation, are you seeing other men? Yeah, I'm seeing other men. I'm shopping for shoes. Oh, is that a problem? And then he'd be like, well, yeah, why are you seeing other men? Well, did we have an exclusivity conversation? Because I'm shopping for shoes. What are you doing? You know, so, I mean, it kind of seems like it's not manipulation. It has to be a state of mind. That's the thing. For me, right now, you see me talking about this is a no-brainer. Like, for me, it's like, what do you mean, why am I seeing other men? Are we in a relationship? Is this exclusive? Because I was not aware. Like, if you assumed something, let's talk about this. This is how men actually think about that. So I hope it answers your question. Maybe not on the first date, but in the third one, don't want to waste my time either. Oh yeah, so Beatrice, I'm not sure, I'm not sure if you want to have the conversation about childhood traumas on the third date even, or a conversation about having a husband. Depends when that third date is, right? Like, okay, let me see, Beatrice. Yeah, so look, these conversations, if you continue your funnel with intention and you're having a busy life, that, yeah, of course, like you should, hang on, let me see. You definitely don't want to waste your time. But you see the difference again in that question, Beatrice. I don't want to waste my time. It has a very masculine energy in it. Because a woman who is so full of herself, not full of herself, but so full in herself as a feminine essence woman, she's not going to be asked, like, she's not going to see this as a waste of time, because she's going to know that there's so many great men around her who are freaking lining up for her to be with her, that she's like, what do you mean wasting it? Well, if you're wasting your time, why are you shopping for shoes? Do you know what I mean? Like, so dating should never be, if you feel like you're wasting your time with a man who is not treating you right, who's not respecting you, who's not fitting the criteria of what you want in a relationship, move on. But this is a problem that I'm talking about. Where is this going? Question mark should not even appear in your head. And you're not wasting your time. I mean, are you wasting your time when you're shopping for the best shoes? No, because to get the best shoes, you actually need to shop. You know, so if you feel like you're wasting your time, then the question is like, why are you seeing this man in the first place? The question of, is this my next husband, shouldn't even appear on the horizon in the first 3 days. Childhood trauma, forget about it. Like, just have fun, have your checklist of it. Well, not even a checklist. So I'll share with you a tip. When I work with women, I ask them, when they come to me to work with me to attract their committed masculine men, I ask them, how would that feel when you have that man? How would that feel? Focus on that. How would you feel? Would you feel relaxed and claimed and joyful, like this man has it together and you feel happy and fulfilled? Focus on how you feel. If you're dating a man that makes you feel a certain way, or you feel around him a certain way, focus on that and let him do the work. Do not lean in. Do not be like, I don't want to waste my time. Like, this is not the right approach. I hope it makes sense, what I'm saying. Ultimately, I've seen that on the dating apps is full of awful shoes. What should we do about that? Yeah. So awful shoes. Let's talk about awful shoes. So Beatrice, I talk to women like you every day on discovery calls, and I enroll them into my program. When you are in the mindset, the reason why you're saying that is because from the mindset where you're in, within your belief system, with your previous experience with men, and then everything that shaped, there's so many layers to your experience when you are seeing all these awful shoes. I like this metaphor of shoes. Awful shoes on the market. Like, why are you seeing that? Well, you're seeing that because your belief system about men and everything around that is contributing to that. So if you have been, and I talk about this in my webinar, by the way, growthskill.com/webinar, sign up for that and watch where I talk about beliefs. If you're in your programming, you have seen men cheating, or if you in your programming you have an idea that all men are assholes, for example, or relationship never work, and so on and so forth, plus you add on top your experience, then that's what you're going to see. What you focus on expands. You're going to see a lot of awful shoes out there. So in your case, what should we do about that? We should reprogram you to seeing amazing men out there. I've seen in my program that when we work with women together on her belief system, on her femininity, of getting rid of all of that, how shall I explain it, of all of that clutter in your system, because there's so many great men out there, and you probably know women who are married to great men. I'm one woman like that. So how can you surround yourself with women like that? How can you work on yourself, your beliefs and your femininity, so that when you go out there, even on the dating apps, like, okay, awful shoes, he sends you a dick pic, delete, block, move on. Like, there's going to be bad shoes out there. Not every manufacturer is going to create amazing shoes. So like, move on and focus on yourself. So, but upgrade your system so that you're going to be exposed to a different caliber of men, because from where you are right now, you're not able to attract that. So that's what I would say. So another question is, what should we do? What are you doing today? Like, I've been in a situation that we speak a lot via texts, and then it comes up. What are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? If he asks you, what are you doing? So this relates to the previous question. If he asks you, what are you doing today? Then you're like, well, I have a couple of meetings and I'm running around and I'm shopping. You can literally say, I'm going to coin this, say, I'm shopping for shoes. Which you actually know what that means. Like, me and you know what that means. He doesn't need to know. I mean, what are you going to provide him your whole itinerary? I'm shopping for shoes today. That's it. So, that's my answer to that. You're right. Shopping shoes also takes time, but you don't move on. Yeah, you're right. Okay. What's your program consist of? How many weeks? Okay. So, I don't see your name, but anyways, if you go to the webinar, girlskill.com/webinar, at the end of the webinar, I explain to you how you can sign up for a discovery call so that we discuss all of the details about it. Because I actually, if you go to my website, I don't share any information about my program, how much it costs and everything, because I want to make sure I get with you on a call, or a team member of mine gets with you on a call, and we discuss the details to make sure that you can be the right fit. This is going to be the right fit for you. So I would encourage you, if you resonate, sign up. Or you can already apply without watching the webinar if you feel called to. Go to girlskill.com/apply. You can fill out a questionnaire and then schedule your discovery call, and we're going to discuss all of that. Yeah, shopping for shoes. Yeah, I love it. Okay, awesome. Rule number 3, just shop for shoes until you find your it. Yes, ladies. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Like, you can comment on this video or message me on Instagram. I'm very happy to answer that. Tomorrow, we are discussing... Hold on. I hope I'm not going to be late tomorrow, but we'll see. We are discussing, or in our next episode, we're discussing why he's not your other half. Very important to understand. So, yeah, I'll see you there tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. I absolutely love these conversations. And yeah, shop for shoes, ladies, a metaphor that I'll be using a lot. All right, thanks so much. Bye. Oh, hold on. There's another question. Okay, Rachel, let's see. So tomorrow, I'm doing this. Let me just stop the... Let me just stop the recording here on my podcast. So I'm doing these lives 8 p.m. PST every day besides Friday and Saturday PST, but they're all going to be saved in IGTV. You're able to see. So tomorrow I'm coming up 8 p.m. PST and every day for the next 2 weeks pretty much until we're done with 10, 11 rules. So I hope that answers your question, Beatrice. Okay, Rachel, I have a question. What if you're a woman who notices that you are more emotionally comfortable with less masculine men, but you want to be emotionally safe with a masculine man? That's a good one. You're more emotionally comfortable with less masculine men, but you want to be emotionally safe with a masculine man. So, Rachel, I would actually ask you about... no worries, Beatrice. Thank you. Rachel, I would talk to you more about what do you mean by you're more emotionally comfortable with less masculine men. So what essentially you're telling me is that I see myself being comfortable with feminine men, but I really want to be comfortable with masculine men, right? Because what you're saying is like, if I'm more emotionally comfortable with the feminine men, yeah, I need to dig a bit deeper into why. Like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, so you can just let me know now and we can discuss. But essentially, I think what you mean is, and these are just from my own experience, a lot of women are actually comfortable with feminine men because feminine men just like hold space and kind of lean back and let you do the thing, and like you are orchestrating and you're like the conductor of your own life and the relationship, yeah? And it might feel like this is indeed comfortable. And I talk to a lot of women like that, and they say, well, it's comfortable in the beginning, but actually towards the end of the relationship or as it progresses, it's not. Because if you are a feminine essence woman, which most women are, by the way, and you want to know, like Rachel, you already says, you want to be safe with a masculine man, right? So you are a feminine essence woman if you're attracting to that masculine drive, a man who leads the relationship forward, who's a protector and a provider. So that tells me that you might be very comfortable in the beginning with a feminine essence man because he lets you do whatever you want and walk all over him and, just hold space for you and everything. But in time, there's going to be resentment and you're not going to respect such a man who just holds your space and lets you whatever, He kind of becomes this feminine man that is not attractive. It's very comfortable in the beginning. It becomes very uncomfortable in the end. So what if a woman... Yeah, so that's what I would really work on in your case. understanding why you're comfortable with that, but we already kind of discussed this, and we need to shift. So why you actually work with women who are already in relationships and with feminine men, and within my work, we shift that dynamic. By leaning back, by stepping more into your feminine, you're giving that man space to actually step up and claim his masculine pole in a relationship. So many men are very capable of that, and actually so many men don't do that because what's easiest for them is to let you lead. But that leads to a recipe of unhappy relationships. So if you are noticing that, then I would actually make sure that you're leaning back into your feminine, into your body, dealing with your beliefs. That's what I'm seeing in my program when I work with women. The dynamic shifts. And so look, when I work with women who are in relationships, two things can happen when you do this work. Number one, he literally steps up and starts to claim his masculine presence. Because look, as much as you are comfortable and fulfilled by being in your feminine, by being taken care of, surrender. My thing was, I don't know what happened. But anyways, as you surrender, let go, if this is so fulfilling for you, this is as fulfilling for a man to be able to step into that leading role, to protect, provide, and take care of you, to be your hero, essentially, and to lead. And you got to give him that. Like, you got to give him a chance. You got to give yourself a chance as well. Sometimes in some relationships, you give them the time and the space, and he's just not able to hold that capacity. And if that happens, when we work together, you can also do it on your own. But obviously, if you work with someone like me, it's going to happen faster and a lot better, I guess. Then, you have the clarity to move on, because you have to open up yourself for a different type of relationship, for a different type of a man that can hold that space for you. So I hope that answers your question. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Again, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. PST, where we talk about, I forgot what we talk about. Oh my God. Oh, yes. Why he's not your other half. So tune in and prepare your questions. All right. Much love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.